Retirement is never an easy subject, whether you're talking about human beings or whether you're talking about animals. I suppose it boils down to security and it boils down to soundness. As far as human beings are concerned, nobody ever likes to retire as a professional sportsman. Sometimes you're not good enough to make the team anymore. Sometimes if you're an individual player, like in tennis or golf, or if you're a jockey, maybe you just have to decide that you actually are no longer able to earn a living, or you are a risk to yourself or those fellow competitors around you. But in the case of a horse like Abashiri, his decision was made for him. Unfortunately, the rigors of horse racing are always tough. A little guy like this over here, his name is Azzman, he raced until he was 9. He won the Emerald Cup, he was 2nd and 3rd, and his retirement was also pretty easy. He told St John Gray, "I've had enough." Now, Michael Azzie has declared the fact that Abashiri will never race again, subsequent to being injured in the Vodacom Derby in July of 2018. And Abashiri is undergoing an intensive rehabilitation process using technology that has very seldom been used in South Africa. It has been used extensively by the Snaith team and by many show jumpers, but Team Azzie are about to find out exactly how efficient and how progressive this particular instrument really is. We're not here to promote the device itself, but to promote the well-being of Abashiri. And for that reason, we went down to Rheinkiesfontein upon the return of Abashiri from KwaZulu-Natal, where he was in the care of a veterinarian to stabilize him for a week after his injury in the Vodacom Derby in July, to find out from Michael Azzie exactly how he intends retiring Abashiri in a place of honor, a horse that was victorious in the 2016 South African Triple Crown. Mike, the last time we saw this horse on camera was when he was being loaded into the horse box at Gr1. A huge relief for many people that he actually had survived the Vodacom Derby in July, but it must have been one of the most terrible moments of your racing career.
Yes, Andrew, pretty scary because fortunately on that day there was no one in the jockey room while the race was being run, so I was just all on my own in the jockey room, which is exactly how I wanted it to be. And as the race was run, they jumped out the pens and I could see that he was slightly slow, but not as slow as he can be, and he was there. But that horse drawn next to him of Paul Lafferty's jumped slightly better than him. But I must say Warren Kennedy was pretty fair. He stayed off him and Pierre was at him and he was getting there. And then Warren came across him, but he was still there. And then Corner Offer dived across on Brett Crawford's horse, and for, I don't know, whatever reason, he decided to put the ABS brakes on and decided that he's going to go a snail pace. That exacerbated the whole situation. Then the whole field concertinaed, and then Pierre took evasive action and just grabbed this horse severely and checked him. I think that is where the damage took place, because after that, the horse started crabbing. If you watch the race from then on in, the horse was running side to side the whole way and was never, ever traveling well. But I can't blame Pierre for that. I don't say it's Pierre's fault that the horse broke down, so people mustn't get me wrong. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm not in the race, so I don't know what was coming back on Pierre. Maybe that Pierre had to take that type of evasive action, because a lot of jockeys have had some serious falls lately. So, you know, Pierre didn't want to land up in a similar situation. Obviously, his life is paramount. Then turning for home, Pierre obviously thinking about myself and my partners in the horse, and he's trying to get the best possible result for us. Clearly, he can see he can't win, but he knows they pay up to 10 places. So he reckons, let's do the best we possibly can for these people. Let's try and get them a check. And he goes after the horse to do the best he possibly can. And I think, and that's when everything came apart, because the damage had already been done, but now when he put the pressure on him, it just all came apart. But then again, this is where Pierre needs to be commended, because as soon as it came apart, Pierre realized this, stopped him immediately, jumped off him, and then just held him up until the vets could get there to assist. Ryan and Adam burst out of that box and they were on the course like a flash, and I eventually got there from the jockey room and I was shouting from the rails, please, please don't let them shoot this horse, because that's the last thing that I wanted to happen to him, you know, unless it was really the extreme case where he would have had to be shot. And yeah, we have him. Yeah, it's going to be a long recuperation. He's going to be here for at least 6 months repairing and rehabilitating. And but he'll never come back to racing. He's never going to race again. I've seen the damage and I know how extensive it is. So he will be here as a stable pet for the rest of his life, or till the day that I die. and Adam will just have to look after him.
Now, looking at the gallops, having filmed the gallops myself and having seen him go to the start, he looked as well as I've ever seen him look, probably as well as he was for the Triple Crown.
You know, and I know what happened to him in the Classic. He won that on 3 legs. He broke his foot just before the Classic, and he missed a number of days in work. So what he did in the Triple Crown was no mean feat for him to have won all 3 legs. And in the Triple Crown, we had him well. Post-Triple Crown, we battled with him a bit in the KZN season, and then we put him away after that. And then we were forced to take him down to the Cape, which I didn't want to happen at all. And then after the Cape, I gave him a long rest and brought him back to get his head in the right place and to give his legs a chance to rest and just get him right mentally and all around. I promise you, Andrew, we have never had this was in a better shape than he was now. We have a physiotherapist, Jane, that works with him. My vets were looking at him and we had him moving beautifully. Jane said physically and muscular-wise, said, Michael, I've never ever felt Abashiri in the way you got him now. He's just spot on. So we were so happy with his horse going into the July, and we were pretty confident in our own way that he would run a nice race. You know, we can't say we thought we were going to win, because that's foolish, but we were confident of him running a top-class race.
This horse obviously has to have some treatment to repair what is wrong. And there appears to be some technology in South Africa that is way ahead of anything that vets have used before. What is your understanding of this particular device, Mike?
Well, Andrew, it was introduced to me on the course that day by the German vet that was present. And obviously once this bandage comes off his leg, the support bandage comes off in another 3 to 4 weeks, I'm definitely going to be using that boot, because when he explained the boot to me, it makes sense. For me to comment on it would be foolish, because I don't know enough about it at this stage. But what he did explain to me makes a lot of sense. So I will definitely be going that route. And I will be speaking to Jane, and Jane will be working on his legs as well at the same time. And whatever we can do to help him, we will do. We'll spare no expense.
Well, if there's somebody that's qualified to talk about this boot as a trainer, it's Justin Snaith, because after the gallops of last year's Vodacom Durban July, the Elusive Silver would never race again. The horse goes and runs third. That's a hell of a testimony.
Absolutely, and I did speak to Adam, because Adam and Justin get on very well. Not that Justin and I don't get on well, we get on very well as well, but Justin and Adam have like a special rapport with one another, as does Jono and Adam. And I said to Ed, speak to Justin, and you and Justin can liaise with one another about that boot and get more familiar with what benefits it has. And Adam said, well, when this closer to the time, he will do, and he'll have a chat with Justin.
Okay, so he's confined to box rest at the moment, which must be doing his head in, but he's a very sensible horse, and it must be doing your head in as well, knowing that this horse can't even go for walks and keep his circulation going, which is just paramount for any horse.
Yeah, Andrew, obviously it does, but we've got him on a strict diet and we're watching him closely. We can't wait to get him out where we can walk him. We have a walker here which we can put him in, and we'll walk him slowly on his own in the walker, and we'll keep him going once we can do that, or we'll hand walk him in a small paddock to start off with anyway until he's right. But as I said before, he's definitely not going to race. I have no intention of ever bringing him back to racing again, because I would never ever want to put myself in a situation where I have to make a decision as to if this should happen to him again, because there's going to be no if. I don't ever want him to be in that place again.
You know, I've been riding for the Azzie a couple of months, and my good friend Manny Witz, the advocate, he's got a sharing horse, so I was very happy to ride Abashiri. Unfortunately, that race is just so rough. You know, you've got 18 runners. You know, when you lack a bit of gate speed, you're just never going to be able to keep them off. And I mean, Craig Zaki, I could see he was devastated after the race. With the pressure that came from the outside, from the rest of the field, you know, he took quite a bit of a knock, and I was on his inside, and unfortunately I couldn't keep my position. Sadly, Abashiri went wrong, but as you said, you know, we're just glad that he's on his way to recovery. Manny sent me a clip to show me that the horse is okay. You can see he's obviously lame, but hopefully he'll now retire and have a lovely home.
Was he trying to tell you something when he didn't want to go in the starting stalls and you were waiting for him there?
You know, Andrew, it's very difficult to say. I mean, I've seen rugby players play the heart out, and all of a sudden they pull a hamstring or something. He was a bit naughty in the parade ring, but when I canted him down, Abashiri canted down beautifully, and I thought, well, that's great, you know. Then I was a bit disappointed the way he wanted to load, but because the starting stalls had a problem, the gates didn't all open and close at the same time. That obviously didn't suit him. That play definitely, yeah. You know, some horses are chilled, and he wasn't chilled. He was having a tough time, and then obviously that must have started playing in his mind, because it was hard to get him into the stalls. But jumping at the stalls, I was quite happy. He jumped on terms with him, and I thought, well, that's great. You know, I'm back in the race and everything's good. But then he doesn't have that early toe, and with the rest of the field, such a big field coming across you and cutting you off, well, you just got no chance.
I must admit, I thought his gallop was sensational.
Yeah, it was a nice gallop. I believe his time was very good, and Lyle worked him in the week before the July, and I think, like Mark was saying, he was in a good mental space, you know, and I thought he looked very well on the parade ring. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. The day just went pear-shaped, and, you know, and he was probably one of the horses that got affected the most.
That's what the game is all about, going behind the scenes and knowing that the love for the horse is paramount above the money.
Yeah, Andrew, you know, he's only one of 3 horses that have ever won the Triple Crown up here. He became one of the people's horses at that stage because of all the hype around him at the time, due to Adriaan van Vuuren making a big thing about him, and the Orange Brigade making a big day about it on the 3rd leg of the Triple Crown. He became the people's darling horse. So I'm more than happy to, you know me, I'm always been that way with my horses. I'm more than happy to allow you people to come and film him and let him become the people's horse, and let them see how he's coming on and getting better all the while. So more than happy for the people to see how we take care of this boy. He's my big boy and I love him.
So that's the story of the son of Go Deputy Abashiri. We are very proud and very privileged to have in our care horses like Alamini, horses like Snowden over there, horses like Carnador down there, a horse called Valberg, Abashiri. They've all won many, many races, and even though they are not hugely competitive horses, they certainly have a graceful retirement here. And we know that Michael Azzie will give Abashiri that graceful retirement that he richly deserves.